Hi, my name is Tom Soroka and I'm responsible for product development, product management in Liver. Today I will tell you about 5 reasons why development of your application takes so long. This movie is dedicated to business people, the owners of startups, the people responsible for development of technological products, mobile applications, web applications, to show you where you should put your attention when you struggle with your development team, with the time they need to develop, deliver, and you're not happy and you'd like to fix it. Okay, so let's start. And the first thing, which is very important, is that always when we talk about challenge, it can touch the process. So, for example, you have great developers, great team, but the process they follow is not correctly designed. It might be connected with tools, so great people, but without good tools. And the last one, of course, people. Yeah, so you can have great process, great tools, but you work only with junior developers or people who do not have expertise in the specific domain, technologies, and so on and so on. So the first problem, very important, is architecture of your solution, architecture of your application. What it means? You can see on this picture, yeah, your team didn't design well this thing for moving bricks, and they don't use wheels, yeah, the normal wheels, but they don't have time to improve it because they are so busy. There is so many things to do, so many features to develop, but their speed is not enough because they struggle with the architecture of the way how they work. Yeah. The second example is, let's imagine that you are building the house, and if you build something very small, yeah, one level, one floor, then you don't need a very good basis. Yeah, and if you are building 10 floors building, then everything what is in the ground, the whole architecture, the core of the construction must be designed in totally different way. Yeah? Requirements are different. And it's quite common that your team start with MVP, with very small product, which is successful, and then suddenly the amount of work, the scope is growing, but no one is coming back to the architecture and is working on improving it. Yeah, so this is very important. When you talk with developers, they can say, hey, we should change the architecture from monolithic to microservices and so on and so on. So if they say about things like this, it means that the challenge is here and you should give them time, or maybe get help from someone more experienced in technologies, in architecture, to design it correctly, to fix the problems. Okay, so this is the first. The second, using wrong technologies and frameworks. And here I have one example. Let's imagine that you are building mobile application, and as probably you know, you can go with native technologies, so you can build application for iOS and then second application for Android, but it's not efficient. Yeah, so in this case you need probably 2 teams. You need to synchronize requirements between them, features and everything. So this is quite huge amount of work, but in some cases this is the best solution. From the other side, you can develop it in web technologies like PWA, for example, technology, and then it's much faster. But when you will go to more advanced features, you can struggle with exactly with architecture, with wrong technology. Yeah? So if you need something in between, then you can try go with React Native, Flutter, Xamarin, so cross-platform technologies. And this is very, very important to choose the correct ones or to make the proper decisions during life cycle of your product. So if your developers struggle and if they says that something is hard to develop, they need to do some tricks, then you should go and smell it a bit more, and maybe some challenges are in this area. The next one is technology debt. What it means? It means that when in the life cycle of your application, the technologies from which application is built are changing. Yeah, so new versions are coming, smaller upgrades, bigger upgrades, improvements, new technologies, and you should or someone should manage this. Yeah, because if you do not change your technology for next 3 years, then probably it will be very, very tough to suddenly change it, because it will have very, very big impact on the whole product. It will be very, very costly, and maybe it will not be even possible. Yeah, so if you will plug debt management, technology debt management in your product development, then it will be much easier do it in smaller slices, smaller pieces, and be always up to date with technology debt. So this is very, very important to remember. And the next one, the thing number 4, the challenge number 4 is application versioning. What it means, it's quite obvious that you release or someone release application version 1, 2, 3 and so on, but the process behind is can be quite huge, of course, depending from the type of the solution, components, how many things you need to synchronize, but in general this is not very simple and straightforward, and each iteration, each version is combined with some steps. Yeah, so the team need to develop, then you have probably alpha channel where you do more internal tests, then beta channel, then you release, then developers start working on the next version, next iteration. But what will happen, for example, if there is a critical bug? Yeah, do they need to are they able to stop development and fix it in 1-2 days and release, or maybe hours? Or you need to wait because they are during developing some new features and they are not able to manage the critical situation. Yeah, so if you're in the second case, then it means that probably something is wrong with the process, or maybe tools, or the way how they use branches in Git repository, if they use Git repository. But it's, let's say, typically somewhere there, so you should put attention and maybe ask developers how they do versioning, how they manage it, and so on and so on. Yeah, because maybe you're not even involved in this. And the last for today is bad preparation of functionality of feature for development. What it means? It means that in many cases it is that someone is talking, or even product owner is, let's say, inventing, let's add this feature to our solution, and then developers try to figure out how it should works, they prepare it, and then put the feature into scope of the sprint, develop and deliver. Yeah, but in many cases some steps are missing here, steps which are very, very important. For example, the first thing you should do is to set up the business goal for the feature. Why? What value this feature will bring to your product? Should you spend even 1 minute on thinking, designing, and later developing, which in many cases is the biggest cost? And what will happen if this feature will not help you with achieving this business goal. Yeah, so it's important to know to minimize the risk that you build a feature which will not generate any value. Then the second, what problems this feature will solve. Yeah, this is this is more or less the same mechanism when you build new application, first version MVP, and you decide which features should be included in this MVP. You should include features which generate the most value for users and which will help you achieve your goals. Yeah, and here is similar, even if we are during development of version 4.0, for example. Yeah, so what problems we are going to solve, and then we should define this feature, and then we should validate this feature with users. Yeah, we can use prototypes, more or less advanced, but we should get feedback from users if we solve their problems, if they are going to pay somehow for this feature, but maybe they are solving the problems in totally different way, and even if you will add this feature to your product, then they will not start using it. Yeah, so it's important. And then if more or less you have confirmation and you have data which shows you that it's worth to invest some money in development of the feature, you should start preparation. Yeah, so if you miss those steps, then probability that you will develop something, or your team will develop something what will not work for users is bigger, and it's good to minimize, because you will just save money and time. Yeah, and that's it for today. So if you have any questions, contact me. I will of course help you. And if you have any comments, please add them, please subscribe this channel, and in next movies I will share more about product management, product development. So even if you're not technical person, you will learn a lot.